My arms right now are bigger than they've ever been in my entire life. Now, this is what it came down to. So we're going to talk about something new today, guys. This is going to sound gimmicky. You're going to look at the thumbnail and be like, what kind of gimmicky, clickbaity bullshit is this? I'm reporting this and unfollowing. I know it's new to you for a fact because it's new to me. And I tried looking on the Google machine and scouring the internet and YouTube and every other source I could find. I couldn't find a damn thing on it. In the age of technology, when all of the knowledge of mankind is in the palm of your hand, in your back pocket, I couldn't find anything about it. So I thought I'm going to make a video about this because I'm kind of excited about this experience I had. And I'm also intrigued because this might have some really big implications if it works the way I think it does. So to give you some insight as to why I'm so eager, like a young girl at a Taylor Swift concert. All of last year, training's been on the back burner. My wife was pregnant. I said, and I posted on IG, I'm putting training on the back burner. Been hitting the gas for 2.5 decades. I'm going to take a break. I know 2024 is going to be a competitive comeback, so I'm going to enjoy it while it lasts. And here's the thing. I was prepared for Laura to have a rough pregnancy. I thought she was going to gain like 75 pounds. Just a history that we have together of eating when we're uncomfortable. And I'm like, you're going to be uncomfortable for 9 months. This is going to get out of control. And I bought in. I was ready to go. Laura gained like 15 pounds over the pregnancy. I think I gained like 30. Now, the thing is, whenever my calories are through the roof, and it was like this the first 15 years of training for 6 years of competing before a drug ever entered the conversation, if I ate, just swing for the fences, full GOMAD. I took GOMAD up a notch. I was doing chocolate milk, a half gallon after every workout, and I was strong as shit. But as my strength clocked up, so would my body fat percentage, and the likelihood that I was going to stroke out at an early age, and it doesn't feel good. So my son's born in January, and I'm like, all right, time to get a lid on this. My numbers are up, squat and press are encroaching on all-time numbers, but I'm like a fat 275. You can't really compete in the 231s in that state. So I'm like, all right, I got to get a handle on this. So I start dieting, getting it in check. Me and Laura start working out again more aggressively. So 1 to 2 times a week, kind of half-assed, is now going to 4 or 5 times a week. I'm running through 70s Powerlifter. Any of you that have done it know what a fucking bloodbath it is, and I'm going to chronicle that as well through the BaseStrengthA.I app, so stay tuned for updates on that. So anyways, I'm working out a shit ton now. I'm starting to climb back, but right now, every aspect of my physique is in the shitter. I'm down about 25 pounds, which means my numbers are down as expected. Shoulders, legs, back, everything. My staple body parts that do all the heavy lifting are smaller. And I'm in this weird kind of in-between phase. Laura comments on this too, and I see it. I almost look better when I'm really fat, even though I'm not aesthetic, because I just look kind of thick and solid, and I look stronger. But when I start to lose weight, I get in this weird no man's land where I'm still fat, and I still have this gut. There's no definition, but now my arms and shoulders are just smaller. That's where I'm at right now. I'm trying to get over that hump to where I actually might have a physique that you might consider YouTube influencer worthy. I'm on my way. Now, in kind of taking measurements and evaluating my physique, something stood out to me. My arms right now are bigger than they've ever been in my entire life. Shoulders are weak sauce, glutes and back are weak sauce, legs are weak sauce. Arms are bigger. Now, that's not saying much because my arms have historically been something I avoided like the plague. Part of it was bullshit rationalization, like, oh, I'm a strong man, not a bodybuilder. Part of it's because I'd have like elbow pain I didn't know how to manage. Really, most of it over the years is I just couldn't get excited about doing arm work unless it was like a heavy all-out barbell variation. And of course, that made my joints feel like shit. So when I think of like the biggest feats of strength I ever hit, I probably did them with like 17.25-inch arms. Not small, but not something you associate with a 410 log press or a 450 stone load. Now, as I measured them yesterday with a pump, they were on the north side of 18.5 inches. Now, like, no one's mistaking my arm for a leg. I'm not breaking any records. I'm not making any arm specialization programs anytime soon. But considering the kind of thin, spindly, like that dried old green bean, the last one in the bag, that's kind of what my triceps have been. The fact that my bicep just never had a shape. It was just a different amount of lump. And now when it's pumped, it's starting to get that football look. It's starting to get a contour to it. So it gets me thinking, why in the hell are my arms bigger when everything else is in the shitter? The reason dictates that comebacks are easy. My biceps are treading new territory, but my shoulders, my back, my legs have all been much more muscular than now. So as I start to crank volume up, do these familiar lifts and start to progress, they should come back very quick. So why are my arms jumping ahead? It didn't make sense. So I had to take inventory over what I was doing over the last couple months. Now, this is what it came down to. For the time where I was dicking around with my workouts, for the time where I wasn't taking my workouts seriously, one of the things I would do to count as a workout was to use the Speediance Gym Monster. So in the time where I was doing bullshit workouts, I was doing cable work in my living room because we had the Speediance machine. They sent me to do a review like last year, and it was something I would never get. It's like a machine controlled home gym all-in-one cable system. Has some cool functionality, but I'm like, come on. Free weights are nothing, bro. But to not feel like a fat shit, I had it in the living room. Me and Laura would do a little like quick cable workout. I'd do some flies, some raises, I'd do some arms, call it a day. Now here's the thing. Speediance does have some incredibly cool features that I slept on. One of them is eccentric, where you can set it to where on the way down, there's more resistance than on the way up. Okay, that's kind of cool, but I'm like, you know what? Eccentric's like, that's more muscle damage. I don't even know if that's better for growth. If I was gonna use it for strength, that's a different thing. I'd apply it to the movement patterns with free weights. And I don't even like, that's like overly complex. But it had accommodating resistance. You can make it feel as if you have bands or chains attached. That was kind of a cool feature. I'm like, all right, I think I'm gonna use that, for my tricep press downs. Nasty pump in the triceps, full of blood, engorged, arm just like hanging, like I have edema, just the tricep hanging off the bone. Never experienced that before. But I didn't even use that much. I did it a couple times. I'm like, all right, that's kind of cool. The one I used a lot was the constant speed setting. This is something that I didn't even press for months because I'm like, I don't know what that is. That sounds like some cardio shit. The constant speed setting guarantees that you cannot go faster than the top speed. And you can set it to faster, you can set it to slower. If it's slower, as you hit into it, you're pulling the entire way. And at every inch of that movement, the resistance is changing in real time to keep it moving at a constant speed. So isometric means no change in position. So there's no velocity. Isokinetic means there's no change in velocity, which means there's no acceleration. From the start of the movement all the way to the finish, it's adjusting to make sure speed stays constant. Now, what that means is that as you do a maximum repetition, if you set it to slow, it's going to go slow as shit. That also means that as you fatigue, the resistance is going to change to allow you to keep going, which means you can hit a grindy set of 5, you can hit a grindy set of 500, and the resistance will continue the whole way. So it's almost like some high-tech drop set. The reason this got me excited is because it got me thinking about the effective rep model. This isn't something I've covered. A lot of you might have gone over this in the whole hypertrophy sphere right now, where they go smell their farts over theoretical ways to get a marginal amount of growth in a muscle, but absolutely no strength gains. We don't want it. In fact, we want it at the expense of strength because we're hypertrophy guys. But the effective rep model, it hypothesizes that the driving force of muscle growth is mechanical tension. And there's 2 criteria you want to get as much mechanical tension as possible. You need slow velocities because when you're moving slowly, there's more cross bridging with the actin and myosin. It's a problem with speed reps. So when you're moving very fast, they just slide past each other. So it might move fast, but there's low tension within. So slow, but that doesn't just mean you go in and you move super slow. A lot of cross bridging, yeah, but you get no motor unit recruitment. You also need high motor unit recruitment, which you get through high intent. You have to be aggressively pushing. So what conditions are you pushing as hard as you can, but it's slow? It's where you don't have a choice in the matter. It's where it's involuntary because the weight is either heavy or there's fatigue, or at the end of a set, it's slowing down. That's the effective rep model. And that's why some people think as long as the work is sufficiently difficult, if you're between like 5 and 30 repetitions, it's about the same. A hard set of 5 is about 5 effective reps because that's where the weight's starting off moving slowly, or the last 5 of a high rep set, it's where the weight starts moving slowly. So it's kind of 6 in one hand, half dozen in the other. Now, if that really is what causes this superb growth in muscle tissue, then technically isokinetic work with machines like this have every single rep you ever do as an effective rep. But it's not just that it continues to adjust the weight as you fatigue, it's continuously adjusting the weight within the movement of the rep. So the strength curve stays even throughout the entire rep. So it's like the benefit of a cam machine, but taken one step further to have this perpetual kind of drop set feature that goes on into infinity. Now, the smoothing of the strength curve is really important. I think about this a lot because it doesn't feel like it gets talked about in hypertrophy circles. From a strength perspective, we know what's going on within a muscle or within a series of muscles is different depending on how you start a lift. So if I do a deadlift from the floor, the patterning of motor unit recruitment, which I'm trying to condition, I'm trying to recruit a lot of motor units and I want to do so in a very short period of time. You're conditioning that at the start of your lift. That's very different than if you start elevated or even at a deficit or in a different position. So throughout the contraction of the muscle, the patterning of motor units, it's going to be different. So I've always wondered how it differs from a hypertrophy standpoint as well. You have a lot of people focusing on range of motion just because they observe that, at long muscle lengths, it tends to be better for hypertrophy. And then I think, okay, what about how you habituate to that? What if you just lean into lengthened partials like some people on YouTube are doing? Are you going to be deficient or are you going to benefit at that point by doing something different because you are exploiting the novelty and recruiting motor units in a different way? Well, if you have this smooth strength curve the entire way, it stands to reason that you're not going to have this lopsided effect in most of your reps where you have the start where all the motor unit recruitment happens at one specific position, and then you have momentum throughout the rest of the movement. Because that's different than starting in a different position, and it's also different than if you start but are allowed to grind. If we are looking for maximal motor unit recruitment, that takes time. So the longer you have to push, the longer you're under that strain, arguably you're going to get more motor unit recruitment, and it's going to happen through different phases of the movement. Are you following me? Now, it very well could be, hey, Bromley, you've ignored your biceps for 20 plus years. Sprinkling in a little biceps consistently probably grew them, even in the face of a giant caloric deficit while having all of your other musculature waste away. Maybe that's a possibility, but the reason I'm skeptical of that, the reason I think there's something about this is because I've gone through periods where I was fed up and I started to incorporate arm work. I've done that multiple times. It never lasted more than a couple of months, but I've gone through phases that lasted longer than what I've been doing so far. And I've gone through those phases not only eating more calories, but with PEDs in the mix at greater doses than I'm currently on, which is a very minimal amount of testosterone. And the amount of work I'm doing is pretty damn limited. Like, this isn't something I was doing religiously. I certainly wasn't doing 3, 4, 5, 6 sets in a workout. Sometimes I do like 2 sets of multiple muscle groups. I'd happen to hit my biceps on the way. So it doesn't make sense to me that my arms would be girthier now with calories down with a minimal amount of testosterone, when in the past, if I was eating like a horse, if I was on orals or trenbolone in like 2019, when I'm like getting ready for Worlds, that the amount of bicep work I would do there that actually was used with free weights and done with intention and with more volume would lead to better results. There must be something specific about the protocol. That's the rationale. So given how it fits into this concept of an effective rep model, this is what got me thinking, and this is what I wanted to share with you guys. There's another added bonus where there's no eccentric on this constant speed feature, meaning you pull at whatever speed you set it to. You could have it go fast. You could have it go very, very painfully fucking slow, and then it releases. So what that means is that not only are you grinding with maximal effort, you're bypassing muscle breakdown. And it's thought, some people say, that muscle breakdown doesn't really have anything to do with hypertrophy, that all the protein that goes to repairing that is just to get it back to baseline. It doesn't actually have an added effect. It's just like your skin regrowing after a cut. So if that's the case, it also kind of stands to reason that effectively bypassing unnecessary amounts of eccentric work, which is responsible for a lot of the teardown, might also improve recovery, allow you to get more work in. So I started to kick it up a notch. This was easy enough to do on my joints. I could do this multiple times a day. I throw it in after every workout. Lately, I've been doing all of my arm stuff like this, and I've even been experimenting with other movements. Now, the Speediance has an upper limit, I think, of 220 pounds, so I'm not going to be doing it for like really big compound movements. However, if I strap it up to a barbell and I do it that way, or if I do single leg variations, I can absolutely get a lot out of it. I can replicate that effect, and that's what I've been doing. And it's been lighting me the fuck up. I'm also thinking that there's probably going to be hopefully some connective tissue stuff going on because I'm able to push harder than I normally would at the bottom, at the most disadvantaged kind of vulnerable position of lifts, where I very rarely am putting out a lot of force because it's not often that I actually get the load high enough where I'm really fighting to get out of the hole. So I'm hoping my pecs, my shoulders. I'm hoping my hamstrings, the tissue right around my knee, which can get inflamed and irritated. I'm hoping those get a little thicker as well. We'll see if that's the case. Long story short, I'm milking this thing for every dime that I can. I've had a ball trying to set up different variations and seeing what I can do. And it does feel like it's more effective, but also I'm looking forward to seeing what happens when I do acclimate to higher volumes, because I have been adding sets and I have been more and more comfortable pushing. And I feel like I'm not even conditioned to the point where I can get a lot out of it yet. That as I get more conditioned and then I can do a lot more quality work, I feel like there's a lot to go here. So I'm going to keep you guys updated. Let me know if you've ever had experience on an isokinetic machine. I wish I could tell you that there's an easy thing that you can go get. There's going to be things that look like they might be isokinetic, overly expensive machines that are in rehab centers or athletic development centers. The Speediance is like the only thing that I'm really aware of that you can get for a home gym that has a very easy constant speed setting. And it actually fits in my Titan rack, and I've been able to leave it there and just drop the floor plate down or put the cables on the barbell really damn easily. So anyways, that's my epiphany for the day. Let me know what you guys think. I don't know if this is going to revolutionize strength training, but this is just where my head was at and I wanted to share it. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Leave your comments below. Till next time, this is Bromley. I'll see you.